Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Briefing for Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. First, taking a look at our current fire activity, we can see ongoing prescribed fire projects in these pink dots scattered across the Great Basin. And then we have had some recent wildfires, although they are quite small, less than 5 to 10, maybe 20 acres here and there across a few areas in Utah and Nevada, and then one here in the Bridger Teton. Precipitation for the past 7 and 14 days shows a very dry pattern across mostly Utah and Nevada. Recent precipitation did come last week to the mountains of Idaho and western Wyoming, but otherwise dry, and it's been very dry for the past couple of weeks over Utah and Nevada, and even Idaho as well. It's below normal for the past 14 days. The eddy, or the current sort of flash drought indicators, are shown here. We can see we're in a pretty decent flash drought across Utah and Nevada, especially over central and southern Utah and the Arizona Strip. Areas further north aren't quite so bad, and the central Idaho mountains are even a little bit wetter than average. This morning's satellite imagery is showing that area of high pressure building over the Great Basin. This is what's bringing record heat to the area over the coming days. Very anomalously warm and dry pattern for mid-March, that's for certain. The upper pattern for Wednesday again is just showing that strong upper level ridge in place across much of the Great Basin, centered over the southwest, bringing the very hot and dry conditions this week. Our ventilation rates are kind of a mixed bag, with some areas showing some decent values and other areas a little bit poorer, especially here across the north. Transport winds are shown here on the left, looking for some breezy conditions again today over eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, and dipping into far northeast Utah. Otherwise, winds are a little bit lighter further south. And mixing heights are still seeing some decent values over some parts of the area as well. Minimum relative humidities are going to be low today, in the low teens to upper single digits, and those will be decreasing over the coming days with that high pressure ridge in place. Maximum temperatures are in the low to mid 80s across Nevada, with mid to upper 70s over the low elevations of Idaho and Utah. So definitely a very anomalously warm pattern right now. Highs running 25 to 30 degrees above normal, setting all kinds of records there. So a very unusual time here in mid-March. Thursday, the ridge continues to strengthen and moves a little bit further eastward. Ventilation rates are still kind of a mixed bag across the area. Transport winds still breezy across Idaho into western Wyoming and northeast Utah, maybe even picking up just a little bit more over the Uinta Basin, where we have seen some recent activity. Mixing heights are still also a mixed bag across the area. Cloud cover, of course, on Thursday, there's going to be not much. Sunny skies, dry conditions, warm temperatures. On Thursday, our temperatures will be inching up a little bit over today's highs, with highs in the solid mid 80s and really knocking on 80 degrees doorstep here over the low elevations of Idaho and Utah. More of the same expected for Friday. The high pressure ridge still staying in place. Ventilation rates kind of improving a bit in some areas, decreasing in others. We will see the overall winds pick up just a little bit here on Friday. Still, the strongest winds are going to be over the central Idaho mountains and into western Wyoming, but that might improve ventilation just a bit further south. Mixing heights are going to be a little bit higher as well, area-wide. Minimum relative humidities on Friday drop down into the single digits for much of Nevada and Utah. And seeing some very warm temperatures as well. Highs in the upper 80s across Nevada and southern Utah, and popping into the low 80s over the Snake River Plain and northern Utah. So a very warm day on Friday. No precipitation is expected for the next 3 days. And our forecasted clearing index for Utah is showing generally lower values, especially at the lower elevations, but some higher values there in the Uinta Basin. And then as we get into Thursday and Friday, some of the higher elevations, we'll see slightly higher values as well. On Saturday, a little cool front comes through to the north. This will increase wind speeds across mainly Idaho and northern Nevada. Ventilation rates improve as well with those increased wind speeds across the area. On Sunday, slightly cooler temperatures move in behind that weak front. Again, not expecting any precipitation with that front, and temperatures will still remain quite a bit above normal for the time of year, just backing off from the extreme highs we're expecting over the next couple of days. And then on Monday, another trough or a trough is developing off the Pacific coast here. That will start to bring in some increased winds and some increased cloud cover to the north on Monday. Ventilation rates improving with the increase in winds. On Tuesday, that trough moves a little bit closer to the coast, so we'll see wind speeds increasing even further, and some precipitation should start moving into the central Idaho mountains on Tuesday. Ventilation rates improving with those increased winds. So look at the winds expected for Saturday here area-wide. We should see some of those winds picking up across much of the geographic area, improving the ventilation. But also after such a prolonged hot and dry period, this increase in winds could result in any fires that do start could see some growth potential with the winds that we're expecting both on Saturday and then here on Tuesday, really picking up across western Nevada and into western Utah ahead of that next stronger front early next week. So even though it's mid-March, it has been very warm and very dry, and many of our fuels are still dormant, meaning that they're dry and can carry fire potentially as well during this time. So anywhere we have some of those standing grasses that didn't get compacted by the snow, this is a type of weather pattern that we would be concerned about pre-green up fires, especially where we're seeing those winds. So something to watch for this weekend and early next week. Precipitation for days 6 and 7 show that precipitation coming into the central Idaho mountains beginning on Tuesday. Otherwise dry across the south. And that's all we're expecting for the 7 days. As we head into the last week of March here, March 25th through the 31st, still calling for much above normal temperatures across the Great Basin and below normal precipitation for much of the area as well. That concludes today's briefing. Please check back on Friday for the latest updates.